Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Nick Gray, and today I've got a pretty exciting camera comparison for you guys, featuring the all-new Oppo Find X3 Pro and its new quad camera setup, and pitting that against the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, which I'm using to record right now with its rear-facing ultra-wide cameras. Now, these two devices are both flagship smartphones, the best of the best from these two companies, so it's going to be interesting to see how they stack up in everyday use. But before we look at side-by-side comparisons, let's jump into the specifications to see how the cameras on these two devices stack up on paper. We're going to start things off with the Oppo Find X3 Pro and its quad camera system on the back, which is pretty unusual since it uses two of the same Sony IMX766 sensors for the standard and the ultra wide camera. This is one of the newest sensors from Sony that was released just this past December. So the quality of the images should be pretty much identical between those two sensors, which we typically don't see, with ultra wide sensors typically being a big downgrade from the main one. As far as the zoom sensor, we have a 2x zoom with 5x hybrid zoom, and then finally a 3 megapixel micro camera there with an LED ring flash around it. This can actually capture images with a focal length of just about 3 to 5 millimeters, so that ring light is definitely necessary since no other light is able to get in those shots. This is definitely a lot different than what we've seen from macro cameras already. As far as the front-facing camera goes, this has a 32 megapixel sensor up front that can capture 1080p video at 30 FPS, while the rear camera is maxed out at 4K 60 FPS. The Galaxy S21 Ultra does have an impressive camera array as well, with a 108 megapixel main sensor, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then two 10 megapixel sensors for the 3x and 10x periscope cameras. The rear cameras can record 4K video at up to 60 frames per second, with the main one going all the way up to 8K video capture, while the 40 megapixel front facing camera on this device able to capture 4K video at 60 frames per second as well, something that we typically don't see on most other devices. Now that we've gotten the specifications of these two smartphones all squared away, let's jump into some side-by-side photo and video comparisons to see how the Galaxy S21 Ultra and the Oppo Find X3 Pro, which I'm using to record with its front-facing camera now, stack up in everyday situations. Let's take a look. Of course, the main advantage between these two devices comes down to the front-facing camera on the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra being able to capture 4K video at up to 60 frames per second, while the Oppo is really limited at 1080p 30 FPS. And for a flagship tier device, that's pretty much unacceptable these days when you're specifically looking at a device that has an advantage when it comes to capturing photos and videos. And this here is a look at video captured from the front-facing cameras on both of these devices. And just as a reminder, the Oppo is only recording at 1080p, while the Galaxy S21 Ultra is recording at 4K 30 FPS. It can actually go all the way up to 4K 60 if that's something you want to do, but it's definitely not recommended in low light situations like this. And that's going to do it for this camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra and the all-new Oppo Find X3 Pro. Let me know what you think of the results in the comments below, and which device you think captures better photos and videos in daylight and nighttime shots like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more camera comparisons with the Oppo Find X3 Pro and our upcoming full review, make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.